All right, I think we're good. 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 Yeah. I think we're good to go. Yeah, man. Yeah. On the do. No good. All right. This is Sociology 101. Sociology 101, people. This is basically a study. This is an objective take. So please understand that I am not here to speak on any verdict. I'm not here to speak on any plea. I'm not here to speak on the parts of the case that so many of you already read about. I'm here to speak on the speech that Brother Blackman gave. See? That is what I want to speak on. And why I want to speak on the speech, I saw a lot of people on social media pronounce him or diagnosing him as a madman or plain fool or he has no sense and so forth and so on. People when they cannot understand something, of course they are going to look at it that way. But I think personally this is a good study. So with that said, I want to dig into it a little bit. So if we can look at it more from the depth than from from the surface, because I think what most people are looking at the surface. Yeah, and I was taught not to just run with the surface reasoning. I love looking to things on a different level. You understand what I say? More understand, more a better understanding. You see what I say? No. There are some things that stood out to me in terms of the intelligence from Brother Blackman. Yeah. There is a level of intelligence that I think a lot of us have missed. And please note that, again, we're not speaking on this by supporting criminality or anything like that. See, we're speaking on the speech. We're at the speech. I'm going to say it again. We are speaking about the speech. Zane? Yeah. So please exercise some discipline. And let us speak about the speech. I could talk about the speech, brethren. Zane? So, Mr. Blackman, Brother Blackman started out by saying, he doesn't care about the sentencing. Yeah? When asked if he is prepared to speak on the sentencing, he said he didn't care about the sentencing. I don't know who it is or who it was that asked the questions, but the individual that asked him further asked if he was clear on what he wanted to speak about, in terms of giving him advice that you are not qualified to speak on this matter. And he said, maybe to the eyes. Zane, so he's basically saying, yeah, just looking at me or looking at the person, you may think that I'm not qualified to speak in this capacity, right? So that was when the person asked him, what do you have to say about the sentencing? He said he didn't care about the sentencing, right? So he prefaced by saying, I didn't have any subject. Yeah? But I know about oneness and consciousness. That is where we're at. He knows about what? Oneness and consciousness. Now, many people who are calling him mad, insane, he's running to God now, all of them things there, whatever. It's because you don't understand. You don't understand the meaning of consciousness. You don't understand the meaning of oneness because you're looking at it from a surface point of view. You're looking at the surface. You're not looking on the metaphysical part of it. See? You're not looking at the allegorical part of the reasoning. See? So he said he didn't have any subject, but he has consciousness, right, and oneness. That is what he knows about. He made a very salient point by saying, and I paraphrase, the motto, out of many one people. You cannot have one with people. That's something to think about. The motto, out of many one people, he said you cannot have one with people. Why? One of the reasons, one is singular, people, plural. But why did he say that? Why did he say something so vague? You're like, you're foolish in my chat. Say, no, matter what chat about. Him just showing you that people will say anything and it just fly. In my view, in my inference. He's just telling you that, yo, people say things and we just run with it. Is that him saying? He must say a thing like out of many, one people, and we run with it and we accept it. So he's basically telling you that, yo, people, in my view, right, in my understanding, because you may have a different understanding, a different inference. He's basically saying, yo, the fact that them can't have this and we work with it. Then that means that we will work with anything. That is the reason why I must say him deal with oneness and consciousness. Remember again, people, let me reiterate, I'm not talking about what I'm guilty of. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm speaking on the speech. So he might basically tell us, say, yo, Zin, him even said, him say, just be aware that people say anything loosely. Is he wrong? Him wrong? Out of many, one people, him not wrong. You see? Him say him read the Bible a lot. Him read the Bible a lot, sorry, not in Bible. Him read the Bible a lot and him realize that whatever is happening is just an experience. Right? Him say him find it interesting, intriguing, based on the things they said about him. How much things I have ordered, how many men I extorted, paraphrasing. But the time is now. Again, back to the motto, and him just say people say things loosely and people just accept whatever. You see? He said there is no I. I doesn't exist. What do you mean by that? He said there is no I. I doesn't exist. I does not exist. You see? Quoting. He said I in the English language is a subject. And no one can subject the soul back to consciousness. Remember, so we learn from Paul, you know. We used to kill off Christian according to the Bible, right? So if we learn from Paul, we can learn from this, you know. And that's what me really do, you know. I don't know what you do, you know. But if we don't learn from Paul and give Paul half of the New Testament, I want to say Paul used to walk and kill off people. Then maybe we can learn from this too. Because I learned some things. You see? Always remember that. So what that means is you can learn from a baby. And you can learn from a giant. I wonder if you understand that. The man said, I is a subject and a soul. Right? You can't subject the soul. He went on to say, us is basically dealing with objects. You see? And the soul is not an object. Why the soul is not an object? Because it is not material. I wonder if you realize what I'm going to say. So when him say, I does not exist, he must say, yo, him is not material. You're looking at the material. You're looking at the earthly things. You're looking at objects and subjects. He's not there. He might tell us, yo, his consciousness surpassed that. So him say, this way you see, no exists because he might deal with the soul, according to what is my inference. Can I leave room for say, and I really that him mean, or that he mean. But based on him saying the soul is not an object, that is accurate. Because it is not material. Again, we learn from Paul. See? Millions of people around the world learn from Paul. And I him them get half of the New Testament too. We learn from Paul to the point where I tell women say them can't preach. We learn from Paul to the point where I say one man have one wife and all them something there. Whole heap of things we learn from Paul. So if we learn from Paul, we can learn from black man too. Again, this is about the speech. See? About the speech, right? Him get real deep in my opinion when him started talking about Genesis 1. I mean, I don't know how much I want to take time out to go look it up. When he mentioned face means presence and darkness means blood. You see? What that mean? He said the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. What do you mean by that? What is he saying there? Darkness, blood, face, presence. Maybe my mind I go too far to preach on that, or to info that, or to tell you what I think. So I'm going to leave that until him further explain maybe at a later time, or a later time. But just see what you can get from that, Zine. What I gather from it, I will not speak on it. Yeah? To keep it neutral. See? He also said God went down and confused the tongues of the people them where they built the Tower of Babel. Or Babel, if you rather. Genesis 11:7. See? He said God went down and confused them tongues because what? The tongues, yeah, were corrupted. We'll get back to that part there, with the tongues and the corruption, and the language and the corruption. We'll get back to that part there. You see? Him said the chief, which is, I think, it called in the judge, the chief. Him said the chief stated that the main thing in a case is identification. The main thing in a case is identification. And he went on to say something that many of you may have missed. That's the reason why you're saying he's running to God, but you missed it. He says, now is the time to identify their God. Not his God. Their God. I wonder if you realize what I'm just saying. Him said, the chief said, identification is the main part of the case. You see? The main thing in a case is identification. Then he went on to say, it's time to identify who is their God. In the beginning, blood covered the face of the earth. The presence. Is the presence coming with bloodshed? I don't know. Leave that alone. Leave that alone. But we identify their God. We're just trying to identify their God based on what the speaker said. The speaker. See? Nobody get mad with me because he was speaking. See? In the second part of his speech, he quoted some Bible verses. Jeremiah 3:15, Psalms 119, 104, Jeremiah 1:18, Psalms 82, verse 5. And he's stressing understanding. He started his second day out by saying, he will be sharing knowledge. And these Bible verses that he quoted, Jeremiah, Psalms, speaks on understanding and precepts. You see? He said, I'm a principle of consciousness. And what is he conscious about? He's conscious about freedom that they speak of in the justice system. We are supposed to be free. And he's supposed to be the most dangerous person in Jamaica. He said, I saw a statue of liberty in the water, not on the land. The Statue of Liberty is supposed to represent what? Freedom, right? He said it's in the water. The laws that govern the sea are different laws that govern the land. So is there any freedom on the land if the statue is in the water and is dealing with maritime law? And you have to piece everything together, if it makes sense, Again, you might deal with consciousness. So you must say, yo, this freedom and everything now, and me are the worst person on earth, in my view. Zane? But there's still no freedom. Zane? He then pointed to the reptile in the courtroom. And he did not sugarcoat. He was direct. He pointed to the reptile on the coat of arms. And he said, every day I come into this court, I have to bow to that reptile that is over your head. Hallelujah, Jesus. You learn from Saul, return Paul, you can learn from him too. Oh, him a glorify bad man, him a glorify gangster. A friend him a look. When not gonna go serve him time for him. You learn from Paul. The Apostle Paul. You can learn something here so too. The man said, every time I come into this courtroom, I have to bow down to that rep. It's the most profound thing out of all of the reasoning. And that part, they hit me. Boop in my chest. Remember you say, I'm a madman, you know. Remember you say, I'm not no sense, you know. But the man, I tell you, say, everybody will come through that door, they have to bow down to that reptile there. Don't him ask you, say. Don't him tell you, say, excuse me. Him going to identify who is their God. Order in the court. The man said, every time, remember, so they say, we must only bow to the Almighty. However, if we are bow to the reptile when we walk through the court door, who is God? What a profound piece of reasoning, people. Who is God, animal? Who is their God? He spoke about the woman Eve and connect her back in the garden with the basket and the reptile. But it in the court. The same reptile will tempt Eve in the garden. When the whole we are living a sin, we still are go through the courtroom, and whether you are going there as a defendant or you're going there as a complainant, you have to bow. And everybody, the police, everybody have to go in there. I'm going there to see it. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, God bless the Queen, and everybody bow. And the man said, that over your head, Mr. Judge, Your Honor, Your Highness, Chief, me have to bow to that, but yet still I tell me, say, God is the highest, I'm God, Almighty God, and them something there. So the man said, I could find out who are them God. Again, you learn from Paul. And you learn from David too. David will kill off the man and take away man's wife. And David was a man of God's own heart, according to the Bible. And you learn from him. You learn from Lot. We sex off him two daughters them. He is without sin, cast the first stone. And that don't tell me when I tell you some Mr. Handsome rape people and pit near foreign. Or molest the people and pit near foreign. Let me correct myself. And that don't tell me say, you know, a man who can molest a little boy and say, who is without sin, cast the first stone. What I want to fling right now, no? Fling pan black man and lick him down and bust up him head. Go down at the courthouse, go demonstrate and that kind of thing and say, yo, when I go fling some stone, the whole of the head bust up too. Because the whole of the full of sin too. Oh, he might attack good for bad people. He might look friendly, but go join the gang. No, me I speak on it because what? I'm qualified. That's how I learn it. You see what I say? And it may not make any sense to you. Facts. But you can come up with your own inference on it too. But me know say, one thing me know say, are true, when you go through the courthouse, you have to bow down to the reptile. But over the judge's head. Man, point it out. Boom! Point it out. Boom! Eve with a little basket. The reptile at temper. Right in the courthouse. In the heart of the justice system. Remember what him said? Corruption. God went down and confused them tongue. Confused them language. Yeah. Them language get corrupted. In my view, the man I tell you say Hannibal is a corrupted system. The man I tell you say, you know, the man I say, yo, the same reptile that will make you all away live in a sin and all kind of wickedness are going on the land, you know. It will have me a bow down to, you know. What if you don't realize what people don't see what go on? You don't realize what go on, man say. You don't realize what man say. Brother, you don't realize what man say. Man say, and that to have we bow down to. And that, remember saying, you know, the people them bow down to the golden calf and Moses come down, come slew them, you know. According to the Bible again, you know, because them down there worship a golden calf, you know. But we are bow down to the reptile when we go through the courthouse. And I say, oh yeah, we used to say God bless the Queen, man, and if she dead now, we stop saying it. A sheep them have to bow, and everybody have to do them something like the English them and bow. And we still a call people Lord, my Lord, in the courtroom. Go listen back to the recordings. My Lord. So every time you're in your church and I jump up and I say, oh Lord, my Lord, 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 Lord. Who are you calling? The man ask you, who is your God? The man tell us, say, make you identify who is their God. Is it? Yep. Yep. But then he went on to say, God alone exists. Which is the consciousness. He's back at consciousness. God alone exists. Because remember, so the man don't tell us a consciousness him a deal with, that him subscribe to consciousness. So him say God alone exists. So you're like, yo, man, gone from this to this and go back. No, him say God alone exists. Him don't tell you who is dear God. Him a go tell you about him now. If we can genderize him. So him a go tell you about him now. Straight. And him no beat around the bush. Him a tell you who is I. The man say, one done. The man said, the done attack. Everybody run with it. Yo, star, the man has, you see the man confess, yeah, him a the done star. Yo, man, see me, tell, yo. A robot man get excited and start. Get excited. Please himself. Because man say, hold on, man, tell us, yeah, him a the done. Man say, one done. Any other than a clarin done. Fly over everybody's head. Man say, one done, you know. One done. You ever see a man go to court and say, the man get sentenced. See the man get sentenced and stand up at the court and say, one done. It's like, yo, man, you put a sentence, the man sentence you, no bossy. Bossy, the man give you 100 years. The man passed that already, man. The man passed the physical already, man. The man not deal with the physical no more. The man outside of the physical people. The man say, one done. The done talking. How who talk? Man say, one done. The done talking. But watch this now. Type back now. The teacher talking. How him say? God is the teacher. Realize we're just going right? Man say God is the teacher. Who attack? God status demand the man. What that means? Him not have no fear. You see, fear leads to control. You see, again, you know, we are learned from the speech, you know. We not there to talk about what the man do when guilty of all this something. I don't have the case file on that. So all of the loggerhead them, we're going to run, go say we are support criminality and all them something. Be my guest. We're speaking on the speech. Very objectively. That is what we are doing. You see? That is what we are doing. Right, Hannibal? Right? Right, Rick Stam? We are speaking on the speech. The speech. When a man elevates himself in consciousness to God's status, there is no fear in him. Because he's no longer afraid of what he can do to the physical. I learned where I learned, though. So many of us, especially as black people, we are living in fear. And we let ourselves become so stagnant in fear. Also drenched in fear, where we cannot elevate to our God self. Because we are even afraid to call ourselves gods. If we call ourselves God, we put one little B in a G because we're afraid to put ourselves as a capital G God. Because we say, yeah, we are blaspheme. Because somebody taught you that. But remember, so the man tell us, the tongues were corrupted from the Tower of Babel. Because we are connected, you know. The man assure you, the tongues them corrupted upon the earth, you know. So if the tongues them corrupted upon the earth, you know, that means enough of way you hear just propaganda and fear mongering. So you're afraid to elevate to your God status. You see? And man I go say, yo, be a people him kill and him a wicked and him a murderer. Or if he come be God. But again, him tell us, say, him no exist in the physical. And the same day. So how you going to compete with him if you're stuck in the physical? How you going to go up against him if you're stuck in the physical? You see that when I teach you them, we are teaching you them for just living in fear, and people been teaching us for years, you know, to live in a fear this, fear that, fear God, fear that, fear everything. So we're afraid and end up in a slavery because we stop fight, because people come and tell us, say, yo, people start show with things and say, yo, see that man there, you know, we're going to do this to him, we're going to rape that one there, we're going to this, we're going to that, we're going to rape, and all of them things, and the colonizers, them just do them things and drive fear into us, so we start living in fear. So instead of we stand up and fight, instead of fight, we flight, or we flee. And it's a fight or flight scene, so we flee. You see? So that the thing now, when you feel for reach your God status, you're afraid of the flesh. This is a must, you know. This have to go back to the earth, you know. All of this, you know. The physical must go back to the earth one day, you know. A little baby born and a little bacteria, the baby gone back to the earth. Yes, so when I say I walk across the road, boom, people are flying a plane. So this is a must. This is something that is a part of the process of this journey. See? So anytime you start live for the physical, you live in a fear, and fear breeds control. So people control you, them use religion and control you. Them use a system of politicians and control you because you're living in fear. You fear a jail, you fear a death, you fear everything. So let's start fear your own self. So even your shadow start frightening you. And because you're so fearful, and what them do, they spread a lot of fear. Even on the internet, even these videos that you're seeing them posting, you understand, and you're listening to the videos, and my teacher say, yo, you must be the most fearful person living in Jamaica. But fear breeds control. Because when a person knows that you're so in fear, they're going to have more control over you. Even Adan. If Adan knows everybody in the community afraid of him, and that's him going to rule. And that's him strong. Him knows that everybody afraid of him. Him knows that everybody afraid for dead. Him knows him can do this, him can do that, him can do whatever to keep you under control. So when you elevate yourself to a God status now, nobody can do you nothing. You're not afraid of nothing. You're not afraid for what they call death. Remember again, in the way I learned from anybody, you know. Could have fool like L.A. Lewis, my little brother. Where I drive down the wrong side of the road and I tell him say wrong, he might cuss me. And him know say I'm right. Him know me right. What all him learn from? My brother that. My general. My sevens. Yeah. So how you going to compete with darkness if you're living in a fear? If you don't elevate your God status. If you deal with the blood, we are cover the presence. We are cover the face of the earth. How you are going to deal with it if you are living in a fear? Why them still a control we? Why we still under control? Why we still have to go in our courthouse go bow down to the reptile? Why them tell you lie? So we have freedom when they put the freedom in the water. Ask yourself them question there. What kind of God them a serve if them a put a reptile for you bow down to? What they've been doing to you? Condition your mind. Condition your consciousness. You can't find it. And as soon as somebody speak anything conscious, you write them off as mad. Because I hear people say, he might go, you know. He might go, or he might play a fool to get sympathy. Or a man play a fool to get sympathy. And I tell you, say, he might done. How a man play a fool and play mad? When the man turn up and say, me I did done. And me influence them. So I'm a play fool. Oh, you missed that. But here what we want now. Speaking of influence, the man hit them again. The man said the teacher is God. Me a God, in my view. So me a God, we are influence them. Just like how fool God are influence uno. For do all of them wickedness here. And have we a bow down to all kind of reptile, all kind of sitting. For keep in our lower self, because once you bow, you are going to stay in your lower self. You are going to be trapped in your lower self. Can't elevate. Your pitney them come same thing. Your pitney them come same thing. Trapped in them lower self. So the man say, yo, the teacher is God. And I me influence them. Who is them? They are the accused. And the informants. The man say, I me influence all of them. Because they all see the physical. That the man say. They know nothing. They want to look at the physical. They can deal with what the eyes can see. According to what he said. So the man say, so if me influence all of them, why all of them never get pardon? Like I want to pardon them one day when me influence too. That the man ask, you know. The man say, how comes all of them never get pardoned? How they just blame me, the God, where I influence them? That the man ask. The system, loudly, boldly. The man asks them straight. Man say, I don't know who have the authority to pardon them, but how comes on no pardon the next one then when me influence? Man say, I am a well filled with water. Paraphrasing. I am well and I'm a being. Zin. You know, so water the most important element. So man actually say, yo, he's well informed about who him is. If you want to deem him as darkness, or you want to deem him to be light, him know who him is. Him identify who he is. If we can generalize them as him. Because there is no gender when you're dealing with immaterial. Just like how God not have no gender. Him. He. You see? So man say, yo, he's well-being. So him say everything I want to say right now. You see? Him well know. He's a knowledge. He's a wealth of knowledge. So he knows that none of this is real. Him say none of this is not real. It's just an experience. All of us have lived an experience on the earth here. Everything is just an illusion. Everything is an illusion. So man say, no, so this is just an experience. Just like an experience where all of us are up on the earth here. All of us are go through that experience here. You see? So I'm saying, yo, him well-being. He's a well-being. Loaded. And then him rock everybody's belief. Just as them things say. Him have a class him and close him eyes. What him say? Just as him get ready for pray for him. And everybody are line up to put them on to lay hands on him. What him do? Because everybody are going to come say, yo, God, I go change him. Jesus, I go change him. Pray for him. The man just make them know straight up, lady, and say, I know Jesus. What him know? Common sense. But them now go take that speech and put it together and teach you nothing about it. Because, quote unquote, is a criminal. But them teach about Paul doctrine. And he was a wicked, a criminal. Because he used to just walk and cut off innocent people head for no reason. Through them I worship Jesus. You see? Without being influenced by politicians or placed like by politicians to carry out them dirty deeds. So why I'm asking, say, why una lock up them youth there? When I me influence them. Where am I go? Where am I go with that? Him have you think. Because see, all of them places, all of them garrison, yeah, all of them things I want to see are go on. It not start with just him people. That's him the consciousness. It not start with just him. So outside of the physical, where his strength is where his strength is, in my view. And that's him attack from people. Outside of the physical. But maybe you're not going to understand it, and this is going to sound like foolishness to you too. But one thing for sure though, he was right about so many things. One more thing, when him hit we, and if you don't want to accept it, you just suffer from cognitive dissonance, if you can accept this. Man say, man ask you, what time it is? What time are you? Man say, 10 past 12. And that them tell us at the time, you know. The man said, no. They told you some numbers. Nothing is real. It's just a perception. And that the man say, no. A lie? Who created time? That a man can look and tell us some numbers. Man say, a man tell us some numbers and say, at that time it is. Him sound like a fool. But the numbers, them just tell you. And not time, and numbers. So in summary, I learned some things from this. Because I never even look on the number thing with the clock. So and at the time a man tell me, some number the man tell me, I just run with it and say, okay. At that time it is. No, it's that number it is. At some number it is. So you are going to tell me, say, me can't learn from him because I'm a criminal? And that you are going to tell me? No. About 4 times I play the speech them already. Yeah. I learn from it. Is what I say. I learn from it. And I learn, say, once you elevate yourself to God's status, all fear is gone. Yeah. But you can stay there in your lower self and make people elevate themselves, stay in a God status and see how you go counter, how you go deal with them. You see? How you go stop them? Because you're at your lower self, filled with fear. Because every day, that's all them teach you. To be fearful, to be afraid. When you have nothing to fear but fear itself. And that I go on, you know. And that I go on. And of course, he pointed out some very important things. They may come off simple, no, because we point them out and you may go look upon them as you say are true. Like blood, in the Hebrew, even in the Hebrew recordings, see, it tells us blood means darkness, and the face will cover over the deep mean presence. Maybe you can start from there and say, why? Him said that. And when I try to get that? I try to figure that out too. I have my assumptions, but this is not about assumptions. You see? Big up on yourself. Can do your own inference on this. This is just my inference. See? And as I said, I learned something from Brother Blackman. See? Yeah. Stop bow down to the reptile in the coat when you're going there. See? Stop bow down to the snake. You see? Yeah. Boom. Have a great day.